All right. Hi, everybody. We're going to start with questions. Does anybody have questions from homeworks or the like? No takers on questions from homework. Okay, if you change your mind, you can always come talk to me individually. So today is the review day. I want to talk a little bit about the test and the test format before you guys break off to get started on your note cards and whatnot. So the test format, a little bit atypical. So 10 total questions. You're going to complete 8 of them. The start of the test, there are 4 required questions. 2 of them are simplifying questions, similar to what you're seeing in the first part of the review or what we did at the beginning of the semester or the beginning of this chapter. 2 solving questions like we've done also on the review and what we worked on yesterday. And then you'll have 6 trig identity proofs, of which you'll have to answer 4 of them. Those proofs are going to come mostly from the questions in the review. You can pick whichever 4 you want. The test is not ordered in any kind of order according to difficulty. The questions at the beginning could be the hard one, or the ones at the end can be the easy one. Who the heck knows? In fact, 2 people might say one question was very easy and one question was very hard, just because if you see what to do, you see what to do and it's easy. And if you don't see what to do, then it'd be really hard, even if it's, different for somebody else. So you should be looking to pick the ones that you know what to do. Any other questions that you choose, or any of the identities you choose not to do? So like if this was my test page, now there'd only be like 2 of these on a page or whatever. I'd ask you to, if you don't want me to grade it, put an X in that question, but don't make like a little tiny X. Just make like a big aggressive, don't spare your pencil lead X, leave no doubt. Everybody's okay with that idea? Again, you're welcome to start any of the questions, and if you're like, yeah, I don't like the way this is going, I'm just going to skip this one, don't even bother erasing it, just put a big X through the whole thing, you're good to go. When I go and grade your identities, I'm going to grade the first 4 that I see that aren't X'd out. So if you leave something blank and don't put an X through it, I'm grading it, and guess what you're getting on it? 0. Yeah, so make sure that you're crossing out the ones you don't want me to look at. So on the test, I will give you guys the same trig identity sheet that I gave you guys in class. So you get a fresh one, brand new, nothing else written on it. So if you've written any other extra identities on it, like, sine squared equals 1 minus cosine squared or whatever, and you don't think you can regenerate that again, or you don't want to have to regenerate it again, I would suggest putting it on your note sheet, because what you get is going to be like what you see here. You know what I mean? Everybody's okay with that? Okay. When I'm grading these trig identities, the way I'm going to assign partial credit up to a point is just like if you've correctly done things. So if you've used an identity correctly, or if you've done an algebra step correctly, I'll count those as partial credits up to a point. So maybe 3 or 4 out of the 5 points would be just from you demonstrating that you can do stuff, even if you don't make really any progress into the problem and getting to the end, or you can't even get the 2 sides to be equal. You can still pick up, a fair bit of partial credit along the way just by doing things correctly. If you get the 2 sides to match for the wrong reasons, like because you've made an algebra error, you've done something, you've done something insane, Obviously, I'll grade down for that, even if the two sides end up matching, if you've made some kind of algebra mistake or something that's allowed you to end up with the sides matching when they shouldn't have. But I'll only penalize that kind of thing up to a point, right? As long as you have reasonable partial credit earning steps along with that, you know, like I can justify giving you some partial credit there. Is everybody okay with kind of what to expect come test time, like what I'm looking for, what I'm going to be hoping for? I want to say one more thing about your identity proofs. After looking at your guys' homework quizzes, the other thing I'm going to be picky about when I'm grading these things is the readability and organization of your work. Some of you guys do a good job and you're just like one step to the next step to the next step to the next step, or like step to step to step to step, and everything moves sequentially and it's easy for me to follow what you're doing. Some of us are like, we do something here and kind of goes around and goes like this and like back across, and like it's very difficult for me to follow your work and figure out what step came in what order. I will penalize you on the test if you don't do an effective job of like communicating to me what you did. Okay? So really try to make a conscious effort to do things like in a sequential step-by-step fashion, that you're recopying all the parts of a problem. You're not doing like some part and then leaving it blank and then do some other part and then like putting them back together. Like, like recopy everything from one line to the next line. Make it easy for me to follow. Don't make me like decipher hieroglyphics to try to figure out what you did. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. So as far as putting your note sheet together, there's no real facts or theorems or identities or anything that you need to write down, unless you want to write down like some of those alternate versions of the Pythagoreans that we constructed and we wrote in by hand onto our identity sheet. You could put those on your notes. Otherwise, I would fill up my note card with example problems. Any questions about any of that? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to stop talking and let you guys get going. Again, as a general recommendation, these identities on your review, you may see things that look really similar to them or even maybe identical to them on your test. So I would really strongly recommend that you work through those so that you've seen it before. None of the identities will contain any nasty tricks that we haven't done before. Oh, another good thing maybe for your note card are some of those like suggested good things to do, like write everything in terms of sine and cosine, or like make your difference of two squares, or make a common denominator. Some of those tips on what to do, that might be worth putting on your note card, or maybe not. It's up to you. Everybody happy? Okay, I'm gonna stop talking and let you guys get to it.